Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Making the Complex Simple podcast. I'm your host, Morgan Whalen. And if you're new here, this is a podcast where I take you through my last week or so of business and I talk about the lessons that I've learned, the mistakes I made, and hopefully you take the lessons without having to then make mistakes yourself, and then you can get the benefits there. So, just a quick note, I am recording this so you'll have a video version if you want. So you can go to the YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description if you're listening to this on a podcast. And if you want to have the visual, it's going to be there for you. So on this episode, I'm going to dive a little bit more, actually pretty deep into the marketing aspect of things, because that's really where I've been spending a lot of my time recently. You know, in business, you're either looking to acquire more customers or working on your delivery or your product, or something in between there, right? Those are typically, as an owner, where you spend most of your time. And so recently for me, I've been spending a lot of more time into marketing and to learn that more, between copy, between the landing page setup, between how to run ads effectively and all that stuff. So I'm going to speak more to that. So this is going to be more of a technical podcast. If you're not here for it, no worries. Other ones, I'll keep it more high level. But this one, I wanted to be a little bit more specific. So speaking of that, so number one, the first thing that I had really, I kind of already knew, but it was more of a reminder and or actually applying something that seems obvious, right? And so one of the best analogies I can think of for this lesson that I've learned is, think of a book. So if you go to the bookstore and you're looking at a book, you're going to judge a book by its cover, by its title, right? By the exterior, how it looks, the title of the book, who's the author, is it a bestseller, right? There's a few things that you're going to look at. But what is on the cover versus what's not on the cover? So when it comes to advertising, you got to think of it like it's a book. Now, there may be 5, 10, 15 chapters in that book, and they're all covering different subjects or different things that all roll up into one overarching concept or one theme that is the biggest. And so when you're thinking about advertising, whether it be for maybe your book, or maybe it's a workshop, or maybe it's to start services with you, or maybe it's for your free resource, right? Whatever it is, if you're advertising, the goal here is to be specific. And so your thing, whatever it is, you may solve 5 or 10 problems with the thing that you're offering, or the workshop that you're about to hold, or whatever it is that you're doing. But the whole goal is to be specific and think of it like a book title where you're just going to hit on one thing. Why is that important? Well, let's just say, for example, you run ads that say, hey, I can help you in your industry increase your revenue. Okay, well, that's really, really broad. That doesn't really help. But there may be 5 or 10 things that you do. So pick one that is really the major part and use that as more of your advertising. Hey, we'll help you solve this specific thing that you're probably experiencing, which will then help you get more revenue. So the big overarching promises, the fluffier the outcome that you're trying to advertise as saying, we can help you with this, the less traction you're going to get. It's too broad for people. It doesn't speak specifically to them enough. So when you're thinking about outcomes, try to be more specific to your client, your avatar, however you want to call it. So don't talk about the 5 or the 10 things. Think of the biggest concept, idea, problem, and then once you're clear on that, your avatar is going to be naturally drawn towards that. So if you're doing ads like I do, once you get more specific on, this is the exact thing that we're solving with the free resource or with our services, whatever it is, then typically what will happen is you're going to lower the amount of cost it is for Meta or Google or fill in the blank with your platform will cost for you to then get a click over to your website, or for them to fill out your form, or whatever the action is that you're trying to get them to take. So, for example, if I was, we're actually reading a book right now in my company. It's called Extreme Ownership. It's a great book. I highly recommend if you haven't done it. I read it first when I was in the military and have reread it multiple times. But essentially, there's like 12 chapters in that book, and each principle and thing that the author speaks on are great principles and concepts for you to adapt in your business. But the title book is Extreme Ownership, which is the first chapter. So he put the most important chapter first, the biggest concept first, and that's what the book is actually marketing or marketed to. So when you are doing this in your business, think of, what is the real problem that I'm solving for people? What is the biggest problem that my solution solves for? And then just let me market to that big problem. And then it'll naturally bring in clients a little bit easier. So, for example, my free tool is helping business owners increase their profit margin in their business. Right, it's a free tool. It leverages technology and our experience, and it'll, like, pretty much you answer a few questions and then it'll spit out this report that will help you see where you could be losing money in your business. Right, and I could go and I could say, hey, you could go run this tool and you could find profits in your business. Okay, that's great, but that's not as specific as it could be. So then I'd say, okay, instead of making this broad thing that says I'm going to get you more leads, or I'm going to make you more revenue, or I'm going to help you with your profits, like what are they? What is the business owner experiencing that I can help them solve with this tool? So if you think about that, then you could tailor your message down to the problem that they're having, not what you think your tool or free resource or service solves. Is literally what does that business owner, in my case, but your ideal customer, what are they actually experiencing that you could solve with your tool or your solution or your workshop, fill in the blank. Okay, so the key is to be more specific. When you're more specific, you're going to be able to tighten up your copy. You're going to be able to tighten up your videos if you're making videos, or your static images if you're making static images. And it's just going to convert a lot better because it feels like you're speaking directly to them more. It's like, instead of covering your eyes and throwing the dart at the bullseye, you're actually like leaning in. You're like, I'm aiming for the center, right? It's just one thing, right? Everything else, it's condensing it down. It's a focal point and saying, I'm solving for this one thing. Okay. So I feel like that has been a big breakthrough with me and how I'm thinking about writing when it comes to marketing, when it comes to making my videos that I'm using as well. So it just really, really is helpful. So hopefully that one will help you as well. So the second big thing is, this podcast is making the complex simple. And so the second point that I've continued to relearn really is around simplicity. And simplicity means removing things from your to-do list, removing things from the services that you offer, removing things just like we just talked about. So instead of listing out, here's the 12 things that this thing does for you, or our services can do for you, or this free webinar, PDF, whatever it is that you're doing can do for you, what's the one thing, right? Strip away everything else. How can we make it more simpler for the lead or for the person to understand what it is that we do and how we can help them? Simplicity is so powerful. And so it could be in anything. It could be in your marketing. It could be in your service that you provide. So if you're a service-based business owner and you provide, let's say, 20 things, okay, well, which ones out of the 20 things that you offer can you remove and not lose any value or not lose any perceived value from a customer perspective? If you can remove things, it actually might add more value. Most people think an opposite. Most people think, how can I add more at the same price point to make this thing more valuable? When sometimes it's about removing things. And so this could also be for your workday. So it could be in your sales, it could be in your marketing, it could be literally every area of your business. You can remove things. So think about it like more older style, European style of art, where there was just this marble slab, right? And they removed the marble slab to get to the end product, to the statue, to the art. And so you got to think about, like, everything that you do is like this marble slab. And it's like, how can we remove things to fine tune it to get it to where it's like, this is like literally the bare minimum. We can't go below this. And it's simplistic enough. So then that way, when we multiply this by 100, i.e., scale it, it won't break. So think about it like that. Think about it like a statue that you're trying to chisel away at, and each thing you can remove, it just makes it more powerful. So if you think about this from a tactical perspective, meaning like your day, how can I apply this to me right now? If you're a business owner, maybe you're just starting out, um, what things can I remove off my plate? And how can I just keep it to like, these are the things that are the most important, right? Keep it simple. What are the things that are the most important that I can spend an abnormal amount of time on? So think 2 hours, think 4 hours, think 6 hours, think 8 hours. Okay. So, example, and this is going to be based off your stage of business, right? So if you're in the early stages, meaning if you're doing less than $1 million in sales, then you're in the early stages. You're in a very small business, or if you're thinking about starting a business, right, you're falling into the same camp. So anything less than $1 million. So then your question that you would ask yourself is, what am I doing in my day to get more sales? Because that's the only thing that matters, right? I'm focusing on the one thing. And then how can I stack my day in a way where I remove everything that isn't the 2 or 3 things that's going to help me get more clients, get more customers. So if you're going to do the acquisition channel of social media, now there's organic and paid, but let's just say you're going to do paid ads, right? You're going to run paid ads on a social media platform. Pick whatever one you want. Okay, so then I would look at that and say, okay, if I'm going to do that, am I going to do static images, or am I going to do videos, or am I going to do a combo of both? Because those are the two majority where you're going to run your ads from, like those two styles of creating. So if you're going to do both, then you're going to say, okay, I need to first create the content. I need to spend the time to think about, okay, well, what does my customer want? How can I solve their problem? How can I position my services or my tools or my free resources or my services as the thing that's going to help them overcome it? So then you would spend 2 to 4 hours a day just creating content, whether that be static images, whether that be videos, right? And so that could be just, if you're doing videos, that could just be prep time, 2 to 4 hours a day of looking at what other people are doing. What visual hooks are they using? What sounds are they using? What words are they using? How can I incorporate some of those things into what I do? Okay, 2 to 4 hours a day. Okay, and if you're like, well, I do that all the time, right? So that's labeled as prep work, right? So a portion of your time could be in prep work. The second one could be in editing. If you're a one-person show, you got to edit the videos. You got to make the images look visually appealing. That could be 2 to 4 hours a day. Okay, what else? Well, you could have 2 to 4 hours a day of interacting with people online. So it could be that you're making this content, people are commenting, people are liking, and you reach out to them, then it starts the conversation, right? Social media. So you got to be able to interact with them. That could be 2 to 4 hours a day. All right, it could be 2 to 4 hours a day just shooting the content, right? Just recording the videos, making them better, saying the thing over and over again until it sounds like it's well rehearsed, that you're coming off as confident, that it's in the way that you want it to. So again, those are all things you could be doing if you're saying social media is my way to get clients. And so if it's not one of those things, then you probably shouldn't be doing it unless, again, give or take, you're also delivering on services for current customers. So if you think about your day and you're like, I don't have enough people coming in, well, how much of your time is devoted to one of these things? Because I promise you, in order to be good at a acquisition channel, in order to be good at anything really in business, you have to keep it really, really small on your plate of like, these are the things I'm going to do. This is my plate. It's 2 to 4 things that I do over and over and over and over again. You're going to put in so many reps, it's going to feel ridiculous. But that's what it takes in order to get success in that area. And I'm just using acquisition or trying to get more customers, clients, leads as the example, because most businesses are less than $1 million, right? That's 90% of businesses. So if you're going to say, okay, social media, well, then there you go. And if you're going to do organic, okay, maybe it's creating content for a few hours a day. It's then commenting on other people's so many hours a day. It's replying to direct messages so many hours a day. But you get the idea. Like, a majority of your time should be there. And if you're only focused on those things, you're going to get better at them over time. Naturally, you're going to get more efficient. Your time's going to get better spent. You're going to get better at making the ads, understanding what works on social media, what doesn't work. And when you're starting out too, it is so difficult to be on all of the platforms. So what I would suggest doing is, tailor your content towards one platform, and then you can multi-post onto others because there's a lot of tools and it doesn't take that much more time. But literally, like, all of your time, effort, energy is really focused on one platform, and all the other ones are just there to grow the audience. You're not putting them as much attention on tailoring it to that one. Okay. So, and if you're running ads, then it'd be, okay, I'm going to be looking at my analytics, however many hours a day, or just checking it in throughout the day. I'm going to be looking at how can I create variations on what's working, what's not working. Again, what are other competitors doing that I can do? How can I make my edits better than I did last time? How can I batch create 30, 40, 50, 60 pieces of content at once? So then that way I can free myself up to do other things other days, right? So you got to think in like bigger increments. And most of your time, again, if you are under 1 million, most of your time is going to be on whatever the channel is, whether that be door knocking, cold calls, trying to work with other business owners so then they will refer you, you doing content, you making ads, whatever it is. Okay. So let's just take, for example, cold calls. If you're doing cold calls, then the majority of your day would be role playing to get better at the script, to memorize the script, to memorize tone inflection, to handle overcomes, to get better at the whole sales process in general. So maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day that you're just doing role play. Another 1, 2, 3 hours, maybe just reviewing calls. What can I have done better? How can I set it differently? Where did the conversation go south? And then obviously a majority of your time is just on calls every single day. So your whole schedule is literally just around sales and that sales process of cold calling. All right. There's nothing fancy. You just got to be able to put in hours upon hours upon hours. And as you do it, you're going to get better at the skill. So for some of you who are like, well, I can't, my business isn't growing. Like I'm out here. Okay. Well, are you letting people know about your stuff? What is the way in which you are trying to get more clients? And are you spending like 80% probably of your day doing that thing? So if you have an 8-hour workday, you probably should be doing 6 hours of that primary form of whatever it is, or training on how to do better at that primary channel of getting new customers. If you're doing 12-hour day work days, then you probably should put in at least 10 hours into that. And it's not that you do that for a month and it'll work. It's like you do that for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, sometimes without seeing any real like incremental progress, or meaning progress towards your revenue. But after a while, it'll compound and then the dam will break. So just keep that in mind. And so I wrote this down. Most people just don't know the amount of work that's required to do something or to make something that is good. It's whatever you think in terms of how long it should take. I'm telling you, you probably want to multiply it by like 10. If you're like, well, it probably should take me a month, I'll figure it out in a month. You give yourself like 10 months to 12 months of like hardcore focus. You literally like, you are laser focused on that thing. That is it. Your day revolves around those 2, 3, 4 things. That is it. That is it. And so I think that, most of the times people just underestimate how much time that you could put into something before you're actually going to see the fruit. And to give you an example, on YouTube, there's QBHD, which is a YouTuber who does tech reviews. He did a video, now it's maybe 9 months old or a year old, of how he makes one video. And I think he comes out with one YouTube video a week, one video. And I think it could be anywhere from 15 minutes to 20 minutes. I think some maybe even be higher, like 25 minutes. So I believe most of the videos that I've seen from him are like 10 minutes to like 25 minutes, okay? Somewhere in that range. In there, you have him. His name is Marquise Brown. So you have him. He's going to the events like Apple, Google, recording like the new phones and technology that comes out. He's traveling, doing all this stuff, right? Then he has someone who's full-time editing, full-time. That's their whole job, is to edit the video footage that they capture throughout whatever it is that they're reviewing. It could be cars, could be tech, could be like virtual reality, drones. Like, they do a lot of things. They have someone who's just dedicated to thumbnail design. They have someone who's just dedicated to sound and lighting. And I believe in total there's like a team of 6. Okay. So if you have 6 people that, let's just say they do 40 hours a week, that's 240 hours into a video that's 10 minutes to 25 minutes. Okay. 240 hours into one video a week of people's time. And they are dedicated to their one thing that they do. And you're wondering why your YouTube video isn't getting a lot more views. And you may be putting in 10 hours or 20 hours. Well, they're 24xing your effort. And they've been doing it for over 10 years. Okay. Once you understand how much it takes, one, you're going to you'll feel humbled really quickly. And 2, it's going to take time. That's the whole point here, is like, the amount of work that's actually involved is way more than you think. And if you tell the people how much work you're actually putting into it, they're going to think you're nuts. That's just straight up. So that's the second thing. The third thing here is test. That's what I've been learning these last few weeks as I've been running my new freebie, my new tool that has been out for 2 to 3 weeks now. To give you an idea, I'm testing 10 ads per week. Now, I'm pretty much limited based on how much I can spend, because you need to be able to spend so much to see, does the ad work, does it not work? And you have to put it in front of enough eyeballs for you to get that data to then determine, okay, is this a winner? Is this a loser? Is there something in between? And so I want to tell you kind of what I'm doing from an ads perspective, and then maybe you could take something from that. So essentially, I'm doing 10 per week. The first 10, a majority was video. I think it was like 7 video, 3 static. Okay. From that first set, the videos did terrible. Like, it cost 3 times as much for each person that went over to my landing page to view the tool, as it did for a static. So then I was like, well, statics are way easier to make than a video, because I don't have to look up hooks. I don't have to think about all of the script that I have to write for the video. I don't have to shoot it. I don't have to edit it. I don't have to put post-production sound and whiz bangs and things flying across the screen, right? An image is so much faster, so much easier. So my second round of testing, which was week 2, I said, let's just do all statics and see if that works. And so static images actually do very, very well. Again, compared to Reels, which there is a higher skill level for videos than it is for statics. So you can get decent performance from statics really quickly if you just look at a couple other people, what they're doing. Like, the bar there is a lot lower, but obviously the outsized returns will be for the videos, because there's a higher skill gap there. So if you're just starting in ads, maybe start with statics. You could test out so much more way quicker. You can pump through a lot of volume, as opposed to Reels, which it takes a lot more work. I'm not even gonna lie. So you spend a little bit of ad budget, and then what I'll do is I'll let it run with the 10 that I'm testing 2 to 3 days. And then on day 2 to day 3, I'm gonna look to see what's working, what's not working. Anything that's not working, I'm going to turn off. And anything that is working, I'm gonna leave on, and then I might duplicate that winning ad into another pod of people that I can try that ad against to see if it still works. So I'm targeting a specific audience with these ads, and then, okay, great, it works. Okay, now let me target a new audience with the same ad, see if that still works at the same level, right? And so then that's how you can use the same ad and not burn out an audience with it. Because if you are scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, and you keep on seeing the same ad, after a while, it gives ad fatigue, meaning they're just going to scroll over. They're not even going to look at it because they've seen it once or they've seen it twice. And then after that, it's pretty much done. So in order to do that, you have to like segment audiences and say, okay, only these people are going to see it. It's like a nice sliver. And then I'm going to only have this audience see it. And so then you can reuse a winning ad across multiple audiences and it won't fatigue as fast. Okay. So, so I wanted to go through like what I look at from an ad level. So if you are running ads, this is what I would look at from level 1, 2, and 3 priority to see, is it a winner or is it a loser? Number one, I'm going to look at ROAS, or return on ad spend. Return on ad spend really means how much money am I spending versus how much revenue am I generating from that specific advertisement. If you don't have any conversions yet, meaning no one saw the ad, clicked through, went to your landing page, or however you have it set up, went through your funnel, and then bought from you, then you won't be able to use this metric yet, right? So metric level 1, obviously the end goal is they buy from you. They see your ad, they buy from you. That's the end goal. So that's level 1. If an ad can do that, then you're like, this thing is hot, this thing is great. How can we do more of that, right? Odds are that's not going to happen on your first run. The second level 1 metric that I look at is conversion. So it's like, okay, how many people converted from this ad based on how many people saw it? Again, if you haven't had anyone buy from you yet, which is more likely in a B2B type scenario if you're running ads, then level 1 is going to be really hard on your first go or even your first couple goes to start seeing. Where you're going to look probably a majority of your time on is your level 2 metrics. So your level 2 metrics are CTR, or click-through rate, which means how many people see the ad versus click on it and go through to the landing page. So there's 2 steps there. They see the ad, then they click on it, and then once they click on it, then they allow the page to load, and then they go over to the landing page. Okay, so there's a few steps there. It sounds all together, but it's really separate. And I'm making this key distinction because each one of those things, you can have people fall off, and then that's a problem. That tells you like something's wrong there. So click-through rate, you want to have it high. What does high mean? Okay, this is going to be dependent on what your offer is, meaning like, is it a free tool, free resource? Are you telling them to get on a call? Are you telling them to sign up for a free workshop, right? So whatever it is, whatever your offer is for the ad, then it's going to vary your click-through rate. But for the most part, I would say higher than 3% is good. So out of 100 people, if 3 click through, you're doing pretty good. If you get it higher than that, even better. I've had some for short periods get up to like 5%, 6%, right? You're pushing up there, but sustainable, I would say, as long as you're above 3, check, good check there. All right. The second level 2 metric that I look at is cost per landing page view. So click-through rate, great. Let's say it's like 3%. So 3 out of 100. How many people actually go over to your landing page? So there's a different metric called cost per landing page view. Now, again, it's going to vary based off of what you're running. Ones that I look at, again, for mine, which is a free resource, B2B audience, I'm targeting business owners. My cost per landing page views that I'm trying to shoot for is probably around $2.50 to $3 per landing page view. Honestly, I haven't found a way to sustain that yet. Like right now, when I'm running it, it's costing, like the best one so far is probably like $4. I haven't gotten below that. But the goal is to get it to around $2.50 to like $3 cost per landing page view. So if you find one, if you have like a set, let's say you go run 10, like I'm suggesting you do on your first run, find the one that gives you the best cost per landing page view. Out of all the metrics, that's the one I would look at after, like on the level 2s, that I would look at first. All right. And then you also have cost per link click. So cost per link click, so cost per link click is different than cost per landing page view. So remember, you see ad, right? After you see the ad, then if they click on the link, that's good. That means there's a click-through rate. So that's one metric that changes. And there's a cost per link click. So again, if it cost you, let's say, $20 to run it to 100 people, for 100 people to see the ad, and for simple numbers, let's just say 4. So $20 for, okay, So then you're going to say it's $5 cost per link click. Okay. But let's just say out of the 4 people that clicked, only 3 people actually went to your landing page because one person was like, I'm over it. It took too long for the page to load. Okay, your cost per landing page view is now the 3 divided by 20, not the 4 divided by 20. So you can see how that can change there. And so there's oftentimes a drop off between the clicks on the ad and how many people actually show up to your landing page. So again, if that drop off's there, a lot of times it's the speed load time of your page, which is a whole separate subject to get into. But that's what you have there. And then if you have videos, then hooks are really, really important because people can't buy from you if they don't know you exist. Okay. So the hook is the first thing. And if you don't have a good hook, then your ad dollars are just going to go out the window. So what is a good hook rate? Hook rate just means out of how many people see it, like how many people stick after 3 seconds. So out of 100 people that see the first second, how many people stick past the third second? And I would say as long as you're around 30 or higher, that's good. If you're mid 20s, like 25%, I would say that's decent. You'd want to try to find 30% or higher because as you scale the ad, it's going to go down. So when you're initially testing, you want something in the 30, maybe 35%. And then as you put more dollars behind it, it may go down over time. So that's the hook rate. Hook rate is a great metric to see from a video perspective. Is it good? So see ad, and if it's a static, you're not going to have a hook rate, right? But let's just say it's a video ad because that's the longest sequence. They see ad, check. First checkpoint is, did they watch at least 3 seconds? All right, enough people watched for 3 seconds. Great. How many people clicked? All right. Then out of that, those that clicked, how many people went to the landing page? Okay. And then that's the part that you got to look at and figure out like what's dropping off where. And then that's how you'd make adjustments to future ads that you make. Okay, well, no one's watching to second 3. Well, then you got to work on your hooks. People are watching, but no one's clicking. Okay, well, you got to make what you're saying in that video more compelling because they're not wanting to take action right now. It means you didn't make it compelling enough. You didn't make a good enough reason for them to click over right now to your landing page. Okay, well, they're clicking, but they're not going to the landing page. There's a big drop off. Okay, that's probably your speed load time. All right, well, they're going to the landing page and you get the idea, but every single thing, there's a place that they can drop off. And you got to figure out, how do I get people all the way over to take the action that you want them to? So it could be simpler, right? You could have an instant form on your ads. And so it's like, okay, they clicked, but they didn't fill out the form. Okay, well, how do we get them to do that? Okay, they filled out the form, but it's a whole bunch of bogus bots that are filling out the form. Okay, how do we fix that? Right? There's all these things in between. And if you get through those level 2 metrics and you still want to like look to see what other ways you'd like turn off an ad, you'd have level 3 metrics. And this is more around frequency and hold rate. So frequency is how many times someone sees the ad. Again, after about 2 times, maybe 3 times, you're going to fatigue the audience that you're sending the ad to. So I would suggest if your frequency gets above 2, sometimes maybe 3, if you're really pushing it, then I would turn off the ad because then you've ran it for too long, or it just needs to go to a different audience that you can run the same playbook, same ad that's doing really well, but to a fresh audience who hasn't seen it yet. So that's another one. A level 3 rate too could be hold rate. Hold rate is just after the 3 seconds, after the hook. How many people stay for the duration of the video? How many people hold through the rest of the video? This one really isn't as important because in ads, I find that most people watch to like 10 seconds max, and then they're making the decision whether they want to click or they want to go. So I don't really see that one as too big of a deal, not really to optimize for hold rate, but it is there as well. So if you do want to optimize and you feel like I do want to have people watch all the way through the ad, you can definitely do that. But usually what that entails is you making a lot more visuals, a lot more sounds, a lot more whiz bangs to keep them entertained to get through the whole video. Because people's attention spans on social media is so short that if you're not constantly having something move across the screen or sound going off or something that you're saying that's catching their attention, they're going to leave. So those are the 3 levels that I look at. So when would I cut an ad? So as I'm testing, like let's say you're saying, okay, I got my 10 ads, I'm going to test them. when do I cut it? So typically for me, I'm going to let it run at least to 200 impressions, meaning 200 people see the ad. And then if it's just really expensive to get the ad in front of people because there is other metrics that Meta uses to say how expensive is it to get that ad in front of eyeballs. Then if it's just super expensive, then I'll just go until there's like $20 to $30 spent on the ad. If I can't get to 200 impressions, and then just cut it there if it's not performing. Now, how do I define performing? Well, after your first set of tests, you're going to have ones that do the best and ones that do the worst. The ones that do the best, those are the ones that you're performing, right? And so you're going to run those same ones in your next test with brand new ads, and you're going to see, does any of them outcompete the ones that were best performing from the last set of ads? And then that's how you come up with, is it performing or not? And then you just want to keep on trying to beat your best from the last set that you ran, and eventually you're going to get down to, healthy metrics. So again, it goes back to the level 1, 2, and 3 metrics that you'd want to look at. Again, first starting with ROAS and conversion. Next, going down to click-through rate, cost per landing page view, cost per link click, and your hook rate. And then your level 3 metrics, if you want to look at those as well, as frequency and hold rate. Okay, so if I'm not getting conversions, then look at level 2 metrics and see performance. And then how is it stacking against the other ads? Cut it if it's bad. So, and I just walked through this. These are the questions I asked myself. Number 1, first, are people watching? Is there a hook rate? Is the hook rate good? I'm shooting for above 30%. If it's not, that's pretty bad. Are people clicking? So are people clicking the link? Yes or no? If not, then you didn't make a compelling argument for them to click. Are people making it to the landing page? Are people clicking the CTA on my landing page, whatever it is, whether it be book a call, whether it be call this number, whether it be fill out this information, whether it be whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do. 5, are they filling out their information? Yes, no. How many people start the form but don't complete the form? 6, are they who I'm looking to work with, right? So is it just bots that are filling this out? Is it people that are not my avatar filling this out? And if that's the case, then you need to work on your messaging. I need to put more times in there. Hey, this is who this is for, very clearly throughout the ad, the landing page, on top of the form, before they hit submit, like anywhere you can put it. All right. So the last thing here, static images are way easier to test than reels, and I've talked about this. So I would highly suggest starting there if you are starting to run ads for the first time. It is the barrier to that is way easier. And you have ChatGPT. So you could just look for competitors and say, hey, ChatGPT, can you make a version of this for me that has my brand colors and my logo and my font styles, and maybe tailor the words a little bit to what I would say as opposed to what this brand is saying, right? So that's way easier, and you can get similar results faster. So if you want to get the quickest thing to where you can at least have a baseline of people being driven traffic-wise to your website or to the instant form or to whatever it is that you're trying to get them to, I would say start with statics because the experience level is low, but then you're going to cap out really quick on performance. You can only test a headline, an image, some of the words that you're using inside your copy so much to improve performance on that. And then after that, you cap it out and you're like, okay, now I got to switch over to videos. But if you're just starting, it's a good way to get your feet wet. You can learn the platform to run ads on. You can learn what works, what doesn't work. It's way more friendlier. And you could test a lot more at scale without burning through so much of your time. And you don't have to know as many skills in general to make that work for you. And then, but caveat here is the videos have the higher upside. So they have the ability to exceed the performance of a static by multiples if you can get it to work. So start with static, go to videos. If you're already doing both, great. Continue to work on your videos. Figure out what is breaking in those questions that I asked earlier. You can use it as kind of your quick checklist to say, okay, what's going on? Why isn't it working for me? And then fix those things. And so if you are running into a problem, like for me, speed page load time was an issue for my landing page. And so I went on Google. There's this free tool on Google that you could type in, or you could put in your URL, and then you could test it. And so then it'll come back and it'll say, oh, here's all the problems of why it took so long to load. It was taking I think it was 9 or 10 seconds for it to load, up to 15 seconds on my page. That's way too long. People start dropping after 3 seconds. So, you can run that tool. And then what I did was I took those findings that Google had, I threw it in the chat GPT and I said, okay, what is this telling me? Because I'm not a computer expert on Java and CSS and all these other programming languages. Tell me in plain English, like what's going on. And it's like, oh, you need to change this, you need to change that. And then I got down the speed load time from 10 seconds to I think like 3.5, 4 seconds, somewhere around there. So that's a huge drop in time, which translates into better conversions. More people clicking the link and landing on the landing page, right? That's a direct correlation between those two things happening. So there may be things where you could take an hour to 2 hours to fix a leak inside, the process to getting people all the way across to converting or to get at the free resource or wherever it is that you're trying to drive them to. So hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, this one was a lot more tactical, a lot more in the weeds on ads. And I'll continue to make these if you find them helpful. Just let me know. DM me on social media. Again, if you want to watch the video version of this, it'll be on YouTube. It'll be on my channel. I'll put a link in the description. But I appreciate you listening, tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.